Hey everybody, welcome to Country Girl with Kathy Jarvis. And today I am getting ready to sow my onion seeds. I know it's snowing outside, it's cold outside, but it's time to start the onion seeds inside. Now, onion is an ancient world-old crop. It's been around since the pyramids. In fact, it was said, there's records saying that they allotted the laborers that worked on the pyramids, they allowed them so many onions as part of their rations. And onions are one of the easiest things to grow if you get the right kind. And that's the key. Okay, you can raise onions either by seeds or by sets or by little plants. And a lot of the new beginners, new gardeners will use the sets because they're easier. They think it's too hard to do the seeds. Actually, seeds are not hard to do at all. It's just that you have to do them early because they take a long time to develop. In fact, the average onion takes at least 100 days to get from seedling to harvest. Okay, like I said, it's important to remember to get the right type of onion for your area. There are three different types. There's the long day, the intermittent, or day neutral, and the short day. And the long day onions tend to be better for the northern part of the United States, and the short days are for better in the southern. If you plant a long day onion in the south, it probably will not bulb. You'll have plenty of green leaves, but no bulbs. That's because the amount of daylight around the middle of summer, around this June 21st, how much daylight you get there is what triggers your bulb to grow. A short day bulb needs at least 11 to 12 hours of daylight. The intermittent needs between 12 and 14, and the long day needs 14 hours or more of daylight per day. Okay, you can see by the map that some of the long periods and the short periods overlap with the intermittent. So kind of look at where you're at on the map and see where the line goes and see what you need to grow. Long ones, long day, short day, or intermittent. Okay, you can probably tell that since they require daylight, that they're best to be grown in faux sun. So they prefer faux sun, fertile soil, a pH average between 6 and 7. They like sandy soil best. If you have clay or hard soil, it's best to use a raised bed or to do them in raised rows. You can add lime to your soil if it's too acid. If you're going to add manure or compost, it's better to add it a few months before you put the seedlings into the ground. And you can interplant onions with just about anything. They are a great little deterrent for other pests. You can plant them with your carrots, you can plant them with your brassicas, and you can plant them with beets. You can plant them with lettuce. You can even plant them next to other leeks. Swiss chard, tomatoes, and strawberries. They can be planted with strawberries. I had to look at my notes on that one. So, they're a good plant that you can just stick about anywhere. So you can make a whole bunch of seedlings, and just take them out in the garden and stick them here and stick them there, and they'll help keep the bugs away from your other plants. Plus, you get a good harvest. You can direct sow onions, usually from April through May, into the garden if the soil temperature is above 45 degrees and the soil is workable. But if you want a big bulb, then it's best to start them indoors early, because it takes them a while. They have to grow, have to make a root system, they have to grow the roots, and then they have to put up the green leaves, all this before they can even start thinking about making that bulb. Okay, there's a few different ways that you can start your onion seeds indoors. And you can either start them in individual little modules, which some people do. You can put them into any type of tray that has drainage hose in them. This is just a little takeout from chicken. Put a couple hoses in the bottom. Now it comes with its own lid, so you don't, it's just a little mini greenhouse, and the lid's already got hose in it for ventilation. Those are good little options. But what I like best is the 3-inch pot. And the reason I like this is because I don't have to do anything with these once I seed them. I seed them, watch them grow. If they get about 4 inches, and when they get about 4 inches, they'll start making like that. They'll kind of bend over, make a 90-degree angle. At this point, you can either transplant them to a cellular or to a bigger individual thing, or you can just cut that off at that point. Just cut that little, right at the L, that joint, just cut it and trim it down. And keep growing them in these little pots until you're ready to take them out. Because they have a very shallow root system, which doesn't get tangled up. So when these are ready to transplant out, when the soil out there gets 50 degrees warm, I can take these out there and just dump them out and just work from the outside edge and just separate them and put them in the little hose. Works like a dream. So that's what I like. To me, these take up too much room. I'll put, in each one of these little containers, I'll put between 30 and 50 seeds. In this container, you would put 1 or 2 seeds in each one, and then cut it down to 1. So that would be 12 seeds here, all this space, versus 50 seeds here. I think I'm going to go this way. And if you're sowing more than one variety, I would recommend this over the flat tray. So let's get busy with these. First of all, if you're reusing trays from last year, which I do, clean them up really good. Okay, get all the dirt off of them. And then put them in some bleach water. You only don't need much bleach, just a splash of bleach. A tablespoon to a gallon of water is all it needs. Then leave them air dry, and that will kill all the bugs and all the fungus that might be on these from last year's plants. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to do that, let them dry, and then you're going to label your pots. I use painter's tape, this green frog tape, and I just write the name and the date that I sowed them, and stick that on the side, and that's all I need to do. Now, you can use potting soil, or you can use seed starting mix. I'm using potting soil because I do not plan on transplanting these again until they go out in the garden. And their seed mix does not have any nutrients in it, where your potting soil will have some nutrients. Now, if you're planning on transplanting them right away, then you can start them with this seed mix, no problem. But I do like the potting mix. So the first thing you need to do with that potting mix is dampen it, make it moist. Now, you don't want it sloppy wet. You want it kind of like a sponge. You don't want to be able to wring any water out of it. You know. So that's what I did first. And then you fill your containers. Now, I'm going to move you down so you can see what I'm doing. Alright. Now I've got sweet white Spanish that I'm going to start first. Now I'm in an area that I can grow long day onions or intermittent onions. I'm on that borderline. So that's a good thing. So I'm just going to take a handful of these and just broadcast them, like I said, about 30 seeds, 30 to 50 seeds into this little container. Okay. That's my sweet white Spanish. And these are my Walla Wallas. Now these seeds are a couple years old, so that's another reason I'm doing them this way, just in case not all of them germinate. Now, you've got a couple different ways that you can finish these off. You can take a pencil, which has an eraser, and kind of mess them up and push them down a little bit. Or, what I like to do, if you notice I left a little bit of space between the plant, between the dirt level and the top. What I like to do, let me open this bag. I thought it was open. What I like to do is take some regular seed starting mix and just lightly sprinkle that over the top to about 1/4 of an inch. This is kind of lighter and fluffier, and it allows that little seed to come through quicker than what if I put the potting soil over it. Okay, you notice I've put them into a tray that does not have any hose in it, because from now on I will be watering them from the bottom. I will not be watering them from the top. The only water they're going to get on the top is now when I just dampen everything down gently. I want this mix to be damp so that there's good contact between, and then I gently pat it just to make sure that everything has come in contact with the seeds. And I'll do that to all of them. And that is all you have to do as far as planting your onion seeds. Now I will take this and I will put it on a heating mat. It doesn't really need a heating mat, but it's kind of cool in this part of the house. If your house is between 60 and 70 degrees, you don't have to worry about putting them on a heating mat. And you don't have to put any lights on them until they've started germinating. And then you keep it at no more than 10 hours of light per day. And that includes the outside sunlight. If you go any higher, you're going to trigger it to start a bulb. And you don't want to do that. Now, if you were planting these outside in the garden, you would sow them about, make a trough about 2 inches wide, and put 2 seeds per inch, and again only about 1/4 of an inch deep. And then you'll, if you're doing a square foot garden method, you'll use 9 seeds per square foot. Now if you're going to sow sets, what you would do is that you would take and make a shallow trough and set your sets in there. Now sets are just little onions that have started growing last year. They pulled them up out of the ground, kept them over the winter, and now they're selling them to you to put into the ground and try to trick the onion into thinking they're still first-year plants. And if that works, they'll start growing and they'll put out a bulb. If it doesn't work, they'll go to seed. If they do flower and go to seed, make sure you pinch off that flower as soon as you see it going to seed, and that will help tell the plant it's not time to seed. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now, once you transplant these in the garden, it's important that you keep weeds away from them and do not hoe around them because they are very shallow rooted. You don't want to to get in there and dig really hard, because then you'll disturb the roots and kill the plant. You harvest them once they get, their leaves start to turn yellow and fall over. That's the time to harvest. However, you can harvest an onion anytime you want. Once they start growing, you can harvest the tops for greens. You can harvest the small little onion before it ever starts bulbing, using that as a green onion. Or you can harvest them at each little stage of the bulb. You don't have to wait until they get really big or until they fall over. However you want to store them, then you need to do that. And remember, the ones from seeds store a lot better than the ones from sets. Now, there are a few pests that interfere with your onions, and that would be the onion maggot and the onion thrip. Now, both of these cause some damage to the onion itself. The onion fly maggot can eat the roots of the bulb and causing the leaves to turn yellow, and the plant will collapse and die. The onion thrip causes the leaves to lose their color and develop a rusty stripe and white molding on the leaves. There's a couple of diseases that you really have to watch out for with onions, and one is the onion white rot, and this causes the leaves to turn yellow and wilt, and it causes a fluffy white fungus and small black growths on your onion bulb, and makes it unusable. And it's very serious because it gets into your soil, and you can't plant onions in that area again for a very long time. Some people say up to 7 years, some people say even longer. Another thing that can happen is downy mildew. That will turn the leaf tips gray and the tops yellow, and it produces a fuzzy gray mold underneath on the bulb. And then you have onion neck rot. Now, this won't show up until after you've harvested your onion and you have it and getting ready to store it, and all of a sudden they'll just start rotting, and that's what causes that. If you want to store your onions for long term, you should have them in a cool, dark spot. Put them in a paper bag or slotted box, and make sure there's air circulation, and keep them away from potatoes. They do not do well with potatoes. Now, onions have been used for food for as long as I can remember. But did you know that they've also been used as medicine? People have used them for ear infections, for fevers, for nausea, for coughs and bronchitis, colic, cuts, arthritis pain, headaches. And in the house, you can use it to repel bugs, repel moths, to purify the air, as an all-purpose cleaner, and as a rinse for your hair. It also prevents rust and can be used as a dish polish, and it can be rubbed in your skin after you've been out in the sun to help prevent freckling. So just a few little tidbits on the history and how to sow onions. So I hope you've learned something. Hope you get out there and try growing your own onions. The one thing about growing onions from seeds is that you can have so many varieties to choose from. I was looking at a bunch of seed catalogs, and there are all kinds, and they'll tell you whether they're what the day length is, whether long, short, or intermittent, and such a wonderful variety. And then I get to the onion sets: red, white, yellow, and that's it. It doesn't even tell you what variety they are, just red, yellow, or white. And then when you get to the plants, they're even harder to find, and it's the same thing. You know, you're either ordering white ones. It doesn't tell you whether the day length on them, whether they're short, long, intermittent. I couldn't find that information anywhere. So that is why I prefer to grow them from seeds. And I start early in case I don't have a germination failure, because like I said, I use my oat seeds. So starting a little bit early, as long as you're 60 to 70 days out from your frost date, you're okay. You can grow them right smack. You can actually put them in the ground if you want to, but you won't get a bigger bulb. The earlier you start, the bigger the bulb you get. So, hope you'll give this a try. Remember, dream big, follow that dream. Try to stay warm out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Bye, everybody.